You've all seen those awesome looking screenshots from Flight Simulator 2020 that show off locations close to the ground. There's also been the occasional official footage of sweeping camera angles literally only a few feet in the air. So, how does the sim hold up when at walking levels? Let's take a look. You might have seen already the video from Flight Sim Deck, who explored a few areas very close to the ground. It's an awesome video and a great channel as well, so do go check it out. It's linked in the video description. In a similar vein, I wanted to take a further look into this and show off some of the other areas of the game, so here we are. So let's be very clear right from the start, the new Microsoft Flight Simulator is very much about flying. Whether you're flying a few hundred feet up or a few tens of thousands of feet up, the experience is all about being in the air. Well, with the exception of being parked up on airports, that is. With that said, Flight Simulator is a stunning looking game, and it's one of a select few titles that can realistically and truly be called next gen. There's a strong temptation then to take a peek very close to the ground in all locations. And to be fair, Microsoft themselves have shown more than a few screenshots of ground level environments. Also, I know based purely on the hundreds of comments on my videos that many people are keen on doing exactly this. So with that in mind, I feel it's very important to set expectations correctly of what can be found at ground level. Broadly speaking, there are three different types of ways of creating locations. These are handcrafted, photogrammetry, and auto-generated. First up then, let's take a look at Photogrammetry cities. I've actually gone ahead and downloaded this city into the local cache, so all the data is present and accounted for. Now, these cities are easily the best looking locations in the entire sim, but as we get ever closer to the ground, we can see how the city is actually built. Many of the objects are actually extruded out of the ground layer, with the texture then applied over the top. Graphical and technical tricks make this look very impressive from the right height, but these aren't really the types of locations that you will be wanting to explore up close with the showcase cam. And yes, it's entirely fair to point out that this is not the intended way to actually view these locations. So let's move back up into the air and see just how good this actually looks from the intended height. Stunning looking areas. Incidentally, I downloaded about 3/4 of Manhattan to the cache, and it turned out the size of that was 5 GB, so yeah, these aren't small areas. A lot of data certainly goes into it. Next up, I'm going to take a look at an auto-generated town. This is sunny England, you can tell by the perpetually overcast sky. Although to be fair, it's been super hot here these past few days, so these clouds are most welcome. Anyway, this is Bournemouth on the south coast of England. Auto-generated cities are built up from various assets that the AI deems will correctly represent the area based upon what it sees from satellite imagery. It works very well from the sky, and closer to the ground we can see it's a very different experience to the photogrammetry cities. Whilst these certainly aren't perfect up close, they are nonetheless pretty decent for taking a walk around. I can see some people quite happily spending time looking around at these types of locations. Now, auto-generated towns and cities are by far the most common type of location in the sim, and if you're at all interested in how these are built, well, basically there's a great video from Microsoft in their partnership series with Blackshark.ai, the company behind the tech used to achieve this. I'll link it in the video description. Again, here's a reminder of just how nice these locations look from the air. Moving on to the third type of location, this is a handcrafted area. It's Courchevel in France, one of the game's hand-built airports. And as you can see, the assets here are very good indeed. You can see so even from the air, but especially so when we get up close. Now, generally speaking, the reason the airports, the handcrafted airports, are so good is because, well, it's important for quality reasons. Essentially, this really comes down to the fact that these are actually intended for you to be on the ground. As you taxi around the airport, it's important that the quality of the environment holds up. And as airports are pretty large, it means you can head around and take a good look at what there is to offer. The bonus to all of this is that it makes for very interesting places to walk around. Considering the size of some of these airports, it will be very possible to spend quite a while walking around each location. And of course, these airports also have activity going on inside of them. There will be airport traffic, as well as the staff moving around doing the various functions that they're meant to do. You'll also from time to time see planes taking off from the airport as well as landing, so very active areas and quite nice to sit around or walk around. Now, whilst not everyone is going to want to do this, it's still a nice option to have, and after all, the handcrafted airports are a key feature of the sim, so why not spend the time looking at what you've purchased? In case you're wondering how all of this was achieved, we do so with the showcase camera. This basically is a drone that can be completely detached from the plane. You can take this cam as far as you like from the plane, there's no restrictions or limitations here, you are free to explore any way you want. The settings on the cam also allow you to set the speed of movement, which for the purposes of emulating walking around, we want to be pretty slow, but up in the air when using this camera, you can set it to some pretty high speeds. You can also have it following your plane along, or you can, like I say, detach it and have your plane fly off into the distance, or alternatively, actively pause the plane and then move the camera around accordingly. You can actually see the camera panel right here. It's very flexible and very handy. At the end of the day then, this camera certainly makes it possible to walk around in Flight Simulator 2020, but it is important to remember that the experience will vary widely depending on where you're at. And yes, you can even explore the open country areas. This right here is Arizona. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.